Live on AM 830 KLAA tonight, Bruce Cook wraps up the week with talk that's worth tuning into. Sports, people, politics, life, authentic, real and happening now. Here's your host, Bruce Cook.
Brought to you by New Directions for Women. We know recovery.
Angels Radio family, good evening. Good evening this Sunday night. As I drove here to the station tonight, I was very amazed at the beauty in the sky, the clouds blowing over, and the incredibly light traffic that anybody that's been on the road these past few weeks has noticed. I thought it was 1978, ladies and gentlemen, and it was a different Southern California. But we are all in this changing times together, and tonight on radio for the next 1 hour, my very special guest is State Senator John Moorlach. He represents the 37th District here in Orange County. And as a brief intro before we get into the meat of our talk tonight, for those of you who do not know the man and do not know his work and happen to be listening to AM 830 this evening, let me just give you a small bit of background. Mr. Moorlach is an Orange County guy. He went to Cal State Long Beach. He is a certified public accountant and also a financial planner. And he rose to prominence back in the mid-'90s when he was working in a firm in Costa Mesa and became alarmed at the fact that then County Treasurer Robert Citron was making very, very risky investments in the stock market with county funds. That red flag, of course, in hindsight, turned out to be the beginning of what became the largest county bankruptcy in America. Mr. Moorlach was in the middle of it, and he helped get the Orange County population out of it. He went on to become the tax collector and treasurer, was a member of the Board of Supervisors of Orange County, and has held a number of other important posts in the community, including his current post as state senator representing the 37th District. We've got a lot to talk about tonight with Mr. Moorlach, and before I introduce him live on air, let me tell you that the lines are open tonight, and if you're listening to the radio and you want to join us, we're going to be talking about things that matter to you, and I encourage you to join us. You're welcome to call in. Phone number 714-2-830-830. Easy to remember. 714-2-830-830. Join me in welcoming John Moorlach. John.
Bruce, good to be back with you.
It's always good to have you on. It's been a while. You are a very interesting guy. I want to say one other thing in the intro that I just learned today reading more about you. You are a history buff on California. You are passionate and love the history of California, especially in the early days of the gold rush when the state became part of the Union. Where does this come from, John?
Thank you, Bruce. What happened is my father used to take me and my siblings to Mammoth to go skiing in the winter. And we would go up 395, and there would be the beige signs that landmark 500 yards ahead. And I'd say, Dad, let's pull over and look at it. And he'd say, no, we've got a long drive. And so when I was just finishing college and studying for the CPA exam, I wrote the California Historical Resources Commission, and I said, do you have a book of all these landmark plaques? And they sent me a little book. And after I took the CPA exam, I went up to Bridgeport to go backpacking with some friends. And on the way up, I did it. I stopped at every one of those landmarks on 395 and took a photo with kind of a small Instamatic camera that I had at the time. And it started this incredible hobby of trying to go to all 1,100 some odd landmarks. It even scooped in my wife. When we were married in 1980, we went to the Del Coronado as part of our honeymoon, and that's a state landmark. And as the kids were growing up, we'd travel all up and down California. And so my kids are all adults now, but they've seen most of the state. And it's just one of those funny things, Bruce. It's sort of like needlepoint. you wonder how it all fits together. And after you've seen everything, and then you flip it over, you see, how beautiful the needlework is, and it's just become a real passion. In fact, this afternoon I was just working on a little research on one of Frank Lloyd Wright's homes here in the LA area, the Innes House. And I'm probably talking too long, but I'll just give a little story. When we went to visit the Innes House, I took my family there, and my wife is really concerned about my not going on private property. We did this back like in 1996, and I just went ahead and went on the driveway under the kind of some of the brickwork, and it overlooks all of LA. It's just beautiful. And a gentleman comes out and, of course, proceeds to tell me that I'm on private property, and I told him the truth. I said, I'm just at a function up here in LA, and now I'm going to go take Yule Hauser out to dinner. And he looked at me and said, Yule Hauser did another project of mine, one of the major, I think it was the Bullock's department store, the architecture. He said, I'm a friend of Yule Hauser's. Do you want to come in and look at the house? But if you don't mind, they're filming a movie right now, if that's okay. And I said, well, it would be great. So my kids got to see the scene from the movie Rush Hour that is at the beginning of the movie. And so my kids have sort of put up with Dad's crazy hobby, but they get to remember some fun little memories as they've grown up. So sorry for the long answer, Bruce, but thanks for asking.
Well, you know what? I brought it up because in a strange sort of way, it means a lot to me that as a state senator, you care that much about the state of California and how much it has given to people and how much it has produced for the world. So I have to ask you as a follow-up question, what's in your crystal ball for California? We are not the California that you grew up in, John. It is so different today. What do you think is going to happen to this magnificent state in years to come?
Well, thank you for that question, Bruce. But yes, I have been to all 58 counties and love this state. I can talk to a senator from Del Norte or from Siskiyou County, and I can tell them I've been to the following landmarks. California is experiencing something so unique in economic history at this moment that it's a little depressing to think what might happen. You had mentioned that I'm a certified public accountant and a certified financial planner by background, and so my area of focus has been just on the finances. And the finances for the state of California are not as optimum as they should be. We've heard talk by the governor of a $21 billion surplus, but what isn't mentioned is the billions of dollars of unfunded liabilities for pension plans that are woefully underfunded. And pension funds have been relying on two sources of revenues. One is the bond market, which has not been producing very high yields. A 10-year bond is actually lately, in the last couple of weeks, been below 1%. And then they rely on the stock market to kind of make up on their yields. And that becomes really risky because the pension systems have tried to achieve a 7% yield every year. So you put a stronger emphasis on equity markets in your portfolio. Well, with the coronavirus, the amount of stock losses, actually 1/3, we've gone from 30,000 literally to 20,000 in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. That's going to make such a large hit on the pension systems that the contributions will go up, and even maybe whether they're viable will be a concern. So going forward, looking at the future, I see a state that's going to have to try to figure out how to make up all the losses that have occurred, all the revenue losses as well, because in Costa Mesa, the South Coast Plaza has been vacant for at least 2 weeks now, and it's surreal to drive by it. My office is next door. It's like 3 a.m, but daylight. So there's no economic activity going on. So cities will not get their sales tax revenues. They're going to have a long time to climb out of this. The state's going to have to pay more in unemployment insurance benefits. So its quote-unquote surplus is going to disappear, and the governor is going to give us a budget for the next fiscal year in May that is going to be dramatically different. And in about a year or two, the ramifications of a stock market that has imploded is going to start impacting the contributions of the pension plan. And I see a real tight squeeze, and we're in a state that has already reached some of the highest levels of taxation in a number of categories. We have the highest personal income tax in the country. We have the highest gas tax in the country. We have the highest sales tax in the nation. And with Prop 13 over time, we're pretty close to being one of the higher property tax states in the nation as well. So there really isn't a whole lot of room to keep raising your tax rates. And what makes it more volatile is that 1% of California's taxpayers for personal income taxes actually provide the state of California with 50% of its personal income tax revenues.
That is a scary, scary statistic. And say it again so that people listening hear it.
Only 1% of our population pays 50% of the personal income tax revenues for the state of California, and personal income tax revenues represent 2/3 of the general fund's revenues. So when they don't have capital gains and they don't get dividends and all the rest, it has a real impact on what kind of revenues the state will be getting. So I hate to start the show off on such a negative tone, but I just see a real squeeze coming, and maybe because, Bruce, we've been through it before with the Great Recession. When I was county supervisor, our revenues went down and expenses went up because everybody was applying for welfare benefits and unemployment, and it just became a very difficult squeeze. And when I was a county supervisor, we had to lay off 1,000 of our workforce. It was very difficult. So that's sort of what I see for the next 5 to maybe 10 or 15 years for the state of California, unless it makes some very dramatic and difficult decisions to try to stabilize.
Well, I wouldn't say it's negative. I'd say it's serious, and it's something that we need to pay attention to. I think that we're beyond platitudes of negativism or positivism. We need to face reality and facts with everything that's going on. John, we have to take a break, but before we go, I want to pose another question to you to think about during the break, and also to the listening audience if they want to join us as well. You have been quoted as saying that the financial situation in our California public school systems is so dire, tying into what you've just talked about. You call it, quote, the canary in the coal mine, that our education funding is so out of balance and the whole system is so messed up that it is revolutionary what is going to have to happen to fix it. With that, we're going to take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bruce Cook. John Morlock is with me tonight on Angels Radio, AM 830. Stay with me. We've got a lot more to talk about. Asking for help in life takes bravery. Women addicted to alcohol and drugs know this very well. Most suffer silently while their lives fall apart, their children and their families in crisis. For more than 40 years in Southern California, New Directions for Women has helped addicted women recover in a nationally recognized treatment facility in Costa Mesa. Their doors are wide open. It just takes the first step. Call New Directions for Women. The number is 888-786-0509. Again, 888-786-0509. You can also visit them at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. New Directions for Women. They know recovery.
Do you know you might be overpaying for your Medicare supplement plan? Do you get lost in an alphabet maze of plans like A, B, C, D, and G, F? Would you like help getting out of the maze and finding the very best plan for you? We are experienced Medigap agents at Health IQ, and we are on a mission to give people like you fair and square Medigap rates. Health IQ is the only insurance agency that rewards seniors proactively working on their health, like eating right and exercising. You don't have to be an athlete to save money. We reward healthy lifestyles of all kinds. Do you take your vitamins and supplements? Do you stay active and in the know about things that impact your health? If so, you could save money with Health IQ. Let us help you take care of your Medicare supplement needs. To see if you qualify for exclusive savings on Medicare supplement insurance, go to healthiq.com/Medigap. To start saving, go to healthiq.com/Medigap. That's HEALTHIQ.com/MEDIGAP.
Health IQ is an agency offering plans from different insurance carriers. No government or Medicare affiliation. Coverage and special rates not available in all counties or cases.
If the woman you love, your mother, wife, daughter, sister, partner, or friend, is on a downward spiral from substance abuse and doesn't know where to turn, let us help. New Directions for Women, a Costa Mesa-based addiction treatment facility, has the answer. Since 1977, we have helped over 5,000 women change their lives, returning them to sober, healthy living, restoring love, hope, and dignity to them and their families. Don't wait another day. The woman you love needs your help now. Call us at 888-786-0509 or visit us at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. Again, 888-786-0509. New Directions for Women. We know recovery.
To talk to Bruce Cook, pick up the phone and dial 714-2830-830.
It's Bruce Cook on Angels Radio AM 830 tonight, Sunday Night Live here in Southern California. I'm honored to have State Senator John Moorlach with me as we talk about the issues of our time. We went to commercial, and I asked John to think about sharing some of his views on the state of the education system in the public schools of California, which are in a state of economic turmoil also. But before I get to John with his answer or discussion on that subject, based on what we talked about in the first section of our show tonight, I'd like to ask the listening audience, if you're tuned in and if you have a phone nearby, to join us with a question. I'll ask a question. Are you concerned? Are you a member of the public that is concerned about what John just talked about in terms of the funding of retirement benefits in the state of California, either through the government or through the private sector, based on the liability that faces us? Are you worried? Are you seriously worried about your financial future in your retirement? If you'd care to join us, the number 714-2-830-830. Back to John Moorlach. John, the canary in the coal mine of education. Talk to me.
Well, the state of California has 944 school districts. It has 72 community college districts. It has the University of California, and it has the California State University system. So we've been blessed with an incredible infrastructure. But a lot of those districts did something really interesting, and that is they gave lifetime medical benefits to their retirees. It was sort of a promise that didn't have an initial cost. But the accounting profession has said, you've really got to identify what that liability is, because most of those expenses occur late in life, obviously near death, and you need to quantify that and let us know what it is. And then you have to recognize that liability and put it on your balance sheet so that everybody understands that this is something that you're going to have to commit to and are obligated to, because you have a contract that theoretically says that you have to do this. And the Government Accounting Standards Board required that number be on the balance sheets for the year ended June 30, 2018. And when those financial statements came out, they were just really upside down. The University of California, they already went ahead and did it a year early, and their unrestricted net deficit was close to $19 billion. The California State University, their unrestricted net deficit went down to a little over $18 billion. The 944 school districts saw their cumulative, combining all of them, their cumulative unrestricted net deficit went from $50 billion to $70 billion, upside down. So that's a 40% increase, $20 billion that's now reflected. And our community college districts went up $2.6 billion, or 47.3%. So, we've got these massive liabilities that are impacting the schools. And when you look at all 944 school districts, about 2/3 of them actually have unrestricted net deficits. A well-run municipality should be above zero, not below zero. And so the numbers are very disconcerting. And I'll give one example, since it's in your radio listener area, and that's Los Angeles Unified School District. They had to put $15 billion of new liabilities on their balance sheet last year, June 30, 18. That district probably can't rub two nickels together per student, and it now has to find more than $20,000 per student to make good on this liability. So they actually, tried to do a tax measure on their ballot last year to come up with the funding to somehow pay for this. It was a parcel tax on the June 4th ballot, and it lost.
It did not. It did not go through.
It didn't pass. And the voters pushed back, and they pushed back just in in March, when it came to adding more debt to build new schools and improve schools with Proposition 13, the 2020 version, and the voters pushed back
again. Yeah.
And so they're getting it. And maybe we were really fortunate that Proposition 13 lost because of what's happening now with the economy.
And, of course, this horrible situation with the COVID-19, which has thrown everything upside down anyway. It speaks to what you said earlier about the 1% funding 50% of the state's revenue. It's the same deal. It's the same deal with the property taxes in the schools to a degree in terms of what you're talking about. I wanted to mention one other thing before we change subjects and talk more about specifics that are going on now. I don't know about you, but I am so disturbed by the fact, and I don't know if anybody else listening knows this or cares, but in Los Angeles County, apparently 80% of kids in grade schools from kindergarten through high school are under the poverty level. And so the state and the Fed, we are feeding these children breakfast and lunch. In Orange County, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the number's less. It's under 60%, but it's close. I think it was 58% of our young people are also under the poverty level in public schools and need to have provisions provided. What bugs me, and it's a generalization, and I apologize to the listening audience if it sounds cruel, but as a parent of a child in school, wouldn't a first priority be to be able to feed that child and not rely on the government to feed your child? How do you feel about that, John?
A great question, Bruce. Of all 50 states, California has the highest level of poverty. We have 1 in 5 people that are below the poverty line. It's a massive imbalance. rich versus poor, and it's been an awkward dilemma for the legislature and the governor to deal with when up until a month ago you had such high housing costs, and so a lot of people are finding themselves trying to just afford a roof over their heads, and therefore their kids are suffering and not getting satisfactory meals. That's a whole unique discussion, but we're also providing not only meals, we're providing child care, and we're subsidizing a lot of these expenses, especially in the Los Angeles metropolitan area, which you mentioned. And so that has just become a regular staple of the annual budget that Sacramento puts out. But you would think that everyone in a perfect world was providing 3 square meals for their kids and adequate clothing and adequate heat and cooling when necessary. But that ain't, according to the statistics, ain't necessarily so.
You mentioned that California is in a worse position nationally. What about America overall? How bad is it? The statistics have warned us prior to this horrible situation that some 60% of the nation has less than $400 in their checking account.
Yeah, now we're getting at the personal level, and that's true, or pretty close to true. The lack of financial planning acumen is very disappointing in this country. It is not something that is taught in schools, although plenty of financial planners have offered to come in and say, hey, we'll teach kids how to understand a budget, what it takes once you move out with housing, with car, with gasoline, with medical insurance, with all the responsibilities that come along with just living. We don't do that. We might do home economics, but we don't necessarily really teach kids how to handle money, and then that goes into their adulthood. And so we have mismanagement of credit cards. We have people that expect everything to go better every year, not anticipating, like people that are a little older like yourself and myself, where we know there are going to be ups and downs in the economy, but people kind of, even with the stock market, kind of believe that yesterday is today is tomorrow, and if the stock market was doing good last year and this year it's going to do good next year, when that may not be the case. It might be ripe for a change. So it would be really nice if we could step up and help people learn how to manage their money a little better.
How about helping the government to manage their money? Is that possible?
Yeah,
or are we too big? Is the country too big? Is the state too big? Are there too many problems? What about this huge stimulus payment that's coming, the multi-hundred millions in checks that will be coming to taxpayers in the amount of $1,200 or $2,400, or perhaps more if it's a family of 4? Is this going to solve the problem? Or are we going to need to do it again and again? Our politicians are saying that the one time may not be enough.
So then it becomes like heroin, and you get your fix every couple months. I don't know how this country can continue to increase the amount of debt that we incur. $2 trillion more dollars to the national deficit is very scary to me, because someone has to buy our bonds to underwrite this. And if you look, at the 30,000-foot level, who's buying most of our bonds? It's the same country that's producing probably more than 90% of our pharmaceuticals. And
that country would start with a C, I'm sure.
Yeah, although I would probably be racist if I mentioned that country. But we have to do a lot of rethinking on how we manage this nation overall. We have allowed our manufacturing to go offshore. We've allowed our pharmaceuticals to go offshore. and now their success is allowing us to spend more and borrow more, and there will be a day of reckoning, and it will not be pretty.
On that note, John, I'm going to take my second break. It gives us a lot to think about. Let me ask a question of our audience. Perhaps they'll want to join in on this one before we go to break. Again, the phone number to call is 714-2-830-830. Are you expecting that $1,200 or more check? Is it going to save you? Is it going to help you? Are you in favor of it? Please join the conversation and speak to Senator Moorlach and myself when we come back. I'm Bruce Cook, and this is Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.
Angels Radio.
AM 830.
If the woman you love, your mom, wife, daughter, sister, partner, or friend, is on a downward spiral from substance abuse and doesn't know where to turn, New Directions for Women can help. It's a Costa Mesa-based addiction treatment facility that has the answer. Since 1977, New Directions for Women has helped more than 5,000 women change their lives, returning them to sobriety, healthy living, restoring love and hope, and providing dignity for them and for their families. Don't waste another day. The woman you love needs your help now. Call New Directions. The number is 888-786-0509. Once again, call 888-786-0509 or visit them at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. That's New Directions for Women. They know recovery.
Angels fans, ever wanted to get closer to the game? Well, now you can. Email authentics@angels.com today to place a pre-order for select items from the 2020 season, such as game-used jerseys, baseballs, lineup cards, bases, and much more from the most reliable source. Items come directly from the field to your home and are guaranteed authentic by MLB. Email authentics@angels.com to secure your piece of Angels history. All items subject to availability. Orders are fulfilled on a first-come, first-served basis.
She used to play hide and seek in your backyard. Now she's getting married in it. So when you see a bare spot, you need something that patches it fast. Pennington One Step Complete has a revolutionary formula that repairs bare spots in only 2 weeks or less. Pennington has been trusted since 1945, and now it works even faster. One Step Complete from Pennington. Honest green. Get your lawn ready for any occasion. Head to your local retailer to pick up One Step Complete.
Asking for help in life takes bravery. Women addicted to alcohol and drugs know this too well. Most suffer silently while their lives fall apart, their children and families in crisis. For more than 40 years in Southern California, New Directions for Women have helped addicted women recover at our nationally recognized addiction treatment center in Costa Mesa. Our door is wide open. Take the first step. Call us at 888-786-0509 or visit us at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. Again, 888-786-0509. New Directions for Women. We know recovery.
Bruce Cook wants to hear from you. Now back to your host, Bruce Cook.
It's Sunday Night Live on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA. I'm Bruce Cook, your host tonight, and my special guest is 37th District State Senator John Moorlach. We went to break. We were talking about a lot of issues that are economic in nature and obviously very important. And I left the first half hour of the show talking about the $1,200 incentive, and I had asked the audience to call in and see what they had to say about it, but we're not getting much response, John, on that, so I want to switch gears. Yesterday, the county of Riverside came down hard on its citizens and basically closed everything down in a lockdown fashion and is insisting that all citizens wear masks in public. This is even stronger than what Mayor Garcetti has done in Los Angeles, and it is not certainly in keeping with the CDC's suggestion that people wear masks. Riverside is saying, do it now. We have to do it. Should we be doing that in Orange County?
It's highly recommended. Bruce, I'm not pre-med, but this virus is rather unique in how it's transmitted, and we're starting to see some interesting numbers even in Orange County. You do a wonderful job of covering Costa Mesa and Newport Beach for the Daily Pilot, but Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, and San Clemente have some of the highest per capitas in Orange County, and I don't know specifically why that's happening. I'm trying to, ask people. It could be that this, they're going to the beach and maybe they're all too close together, and that's been curtailed, and the public has been told not to do that so much. But some people are thinking even when the waves break and the wind carries, whatever is in the ocean water, because after a rainstorm, lots of bacteria hits our coast as water moves inland to the ocean, and who knows what's in there. Maybe another reason might be that a lot of people in Newport Beach and Laguna Beach do a lot of traveling around the world, so they may have contracted it in their leisure or business travel.
John, I think that is. John, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that is.
No.
I think that's the reason why the communities that you mentioned have suffered more, because of the availability of travel, and a lot of these people are business people that do business elsewhere, and that's also why New York is suffering so much. The number of population that has the access to travel, and that's the reason I believe mostly that we're seeing that in these coastal communities. But as you've suggested, it could be other things, including being at the beach. But you're saying, yes, wear a mask in public. Are you going to wear one? Are you wearing one?
In public, I started yesterday, and as we speak, my wife is busy looking for patterns, and we've been going through some old material that we have here at the home, and she's a seamstress. She knows how to sew. We have a sewing machine, so she is working on making masks as we speak. So yes, in public, at the grocery store, I think that would be highly advisable.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, and I have to follow that up with a question about our president. Our President Trump is saying that he should not or will not wear one. Personally, I think it is because I don't think it's a vanity thing with him. I'm guessing, of course, this is just conjecture. I think he thinks that as president, putting that mask on will make him seem weak or afraid of the virus. And he does not want to convey any kind of image of weakness or compromise that he is scared. He's trying to be positive. But I'm afraid it's sending a negative message that is undermining that purpose. Would you agree or disagree?
I'm kind of still trying to figure it out myself. I don't see, Gavin Newsom wearing a mask in photos or, the press releases he does, or Eric Garcetti. But I think it would be wise to say, when I am in certain situations or settings with a lot of individuals there, I will wear a mask. And I can't try and figure out how people think or what their motivations are. But leadership by example never hurts.
Well, leadership by example is everything, isn't it? As a politician, if you don't present that example, how does the public trust you? How do they know to believe in you?
Is that a rhetorical question? Or?
Well, it's certainly rhetorical, but it's also looking for your comment on it.
Yeah, no, I try to, in every area of my life, I try to lead by example, and And so, I think for some people, sometimes things that, should be setting in take a little time. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a week or so you'll see the president wearing a face mask.
Well, I think that's probably a very fair idea. Speaking of the coronavirus here in Orange County, in South County, in Laguna Woods, there's a major controversy. People are marching in the streets. The Ayers Hotel next to Laguna Woods, the 55-plus retirement community, is supposedly or potentially turning that hotel into a coronavirus sanctuary. The residents are up in arms. What is your opinion?
Well, it's in my district, and I've been spending a lot of time on this issue, Bruce, over the last few days. So number one, we cannot allow homeless people that have contracted coronavirus just to roam on the streets. So this has been an initiative that the governor has been pursuing. He's already acquired 7,000 beds throughout the state, or hotel rooms, and he's trying to get 15,000 hotel rooms to put the homeless into them. Now, that was a directive that was given to the County of Orange to find a hotel to provide this service for the homeless. The county contacted 6 South County cities and said, what should we do? How can we work together? And not one of those cities and their city councils gave the county any reasonable recommendation. And only one hotel out of South County, as far as I know, answered the call and said, we'll take these homeless people. That was a decision made by the Ayers family, a very reputable, hotel chain here in Southern California. A very risky decision because homeless people are difficult tenants in your hotel rooms. There could be plenty of, damage to the rooms based on stories I've heard. But they made the decision, and it is not my preference that the hotel be right in the middle of Laguna Woods on El Toro Road. That would not be my preference, but we haven't seen any other hotel or hotel chain step up and say, we'll let you use our facilities. The county is working with a provider, which you probably know. You've probably gone to their galas, but it's the Illumination Foundation. And they are a first-class provider of services for homeless and also in this space of providing medical treatment. It will also be carefully monitored and provide security with the sheriff's department and a security service. And the protocols of those that can come in and out are going to be extremely severe. This is not where homeless people can just go in and out as they please. Once you're in, you're quarantined, you're in. And so it's going to be as safe as possible. But in the meantime, boy, if we could find another hotel in a little more remote location, that would be my choice. But if only one hotel has stepped up and that's all you've got, then that's what we have to work with. So it makes it real difficult. And I understand. One, Laguna Woods has a population that, you cannot live there unless you're 55 or older. And I would say, I'm hearing all kinds of numbers of what the average age is. But of those 18,000 plus people, I'd say it's probably in the mid-70s as an average. And this is the area in the demographic that has us most concerned as a nation, right? We were concerned about our elderly contracting COVID-19 because it has been so deadly. And so I understand the concerns. I have a mother who's in a facility in a different area of the country, but she's going to turn 90 this year, and she's already had 3 residents in that large complex. They've already been identified as positive for COVID-19. So I know the stress, I know the anxiety, and boy, I'd love to try and figure something out. And I have tried to figure, and I have contacted major corporations and individuals, say, hey, where else can we go that can provide this opportunity? Because right now the county is stressed for funds. Those 6 cities are stressed for funds. and they can't build something right away, and they can't maybe put something up temporary because they don't have the resources and they don't have a guarantee that they'll be reimbursed. So it is a pretzel, Bruce. It's real awkward. Certainly we had the same problem when the governor wanted to move Diamond Princess passengers from Travis Air Force Base down to the Fairview Developmental Center in Costa Mesa, moving people that have identified as positive for coronavirus into the second most densely populated county in the state, was real awkward and had us all very concerned. But at least we offered an alternative, and that was keep them at Travis or take them to another military base like 29 Palms, where they're at least away from major metropolitan areas. You mentioned New York, and New York is having a real problem because they're so densely populated. So for a city like Laguna Woods that has less than 5 people identified as having coronavirus, this is scary, and I understand that, but we should be putting all the proper protocols to make sure that everything is sealed as tightly as possible until we find another location. And
let me ask you one thing Let me ask you one thing. Ayers Hotels has hotels all over Southern California, including a number of them that are in industrial areas right off the freeway. Why did they select this one?
I do not know. I have not talked to them.
Okay.
So
we're not going to have an answer to that. So I'm not going to delve into it, but I do ask that question because I drive by their hotels right off the 405 and the 55 and into LA all the time, and they have hotels that are not surrounded by any residential areas whatsoever. So I posed that question before we take our next break, John. When we come back in our last segment, we have some really important stuff to talk about in terms of this coronavirus and the possibility of a vaccine and what's happening with the hydrochloroquine that everybody's talking about. And I also want to touch on the situation with the military and the Navy and what happened with the Captain Brett Corsair and the Roosevelt. I'd like your opinion on that. Let's take a quick break and come right back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Senator John Morlack. I'm Bruce Cook, Angels Radio.
Angels Radio.
AM 830.
Asking for help in life takes bravery. Women addicted to alcohol and drugs know this very well. Most suffer silently while their lives fall apart, their children and their families in crisis. For more than 40 years in Southern California, New Directions for Women has helped addicted women recover in a nationally recognized treatment facility in Costa Mesa. Their doors are wide open. It just takes the first step. Call New Directions for Women. The number is 888-786-0509. Again, 888-786-0509. You can also visit them at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. New Directions for Women. They know recovery.
Hey Angels fans, now you can feed the whole family and enjoy the exclusive pizza sold at Angel Stadium in the comfort of your home. OG's Sports Brewhouse Pizza offers over 100 menu items that can be ordered online for takeout or delivery. Head to OGs.com. That's OGGIS.com to find a location near you and place your order. OG's, the place to feed your passion for sports, award-winning craft beers, and delicious food.
And now, a page from the diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, I got the brush off again. I don't get it. Is there something wrong with the way I wave? Elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist. Why won't that little basset hound acknowledge me? I'm friendly. I give everyone peace of mind when I protect their homes through Progressive. He should be jumping for joy when I walk by.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
Maybe it's me. No, it's him.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
If the woman you love, your mother, wife, daughter, sister, partner, or friend, is on a downward spiral from substance abuse and doesn't know where to turn, let us help. New Directions for Women, a Costa Mesa-based addiction treatment facility, has the answer. Since 1977, we have helped over 5,000 women change their lives, returning them to sober, healthy living, restoring love, hope, and dignity to them and their families. Don't wait another day. The woman you love needs your help now. Call us at 888-786-0509 or visit us at www.newdirectionsforwomen.org. Again, 888-786-0509. New Directions for Women. We know recovery.
To talk to Bruce Cook, pick up the phone and dial 714-2830-830.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bruce Cook, and it's live Sunday night on Angels Radio. Our guest tonight, Senator John Moorlach. John, talk to me about the situation with the Navy and Captain Brett Corsier, who was dismissed from duty after serving 20 years, supposedly as an exemplary sailor in our U.S. Armed Forces, because of a letter that he wrote regarding complaining about non-treatment for his sailors not being serviced properly with trying to prevent coronavirus on the ship. What do you think? Was this handled properly by our Department of Defense? Where do you stand on this?
Well, I would have to say that I serve at the state level, not the federal level. So I'm a state senator, not a U.S. representative. So I haven't monitored that activity as closely as maybe I could have, because I've been so focused on dealing with the day-to-day of what's going on in California. So I apologize for that, Bruce. But I'm not a military. I'm not a veteran, so I can't speak with any sense of authority on whether or not certain correspondence should be released to the public or not, which is my understanding is the issue that occurred. And I just don't really have, a position on, based on personal experience or knowledge.
I understand
about the Roosevelt.
Then let me be a little bit more specific in terms of what I understand. It wasn't that the captain released it to the public. It's that he wrote his concerns in a memo that somehow got released to the media. Now, there are questions on whether he had something to do with releasing it to the media, although personally, again, without knowledge, I doubt that. In our world today, things happen, and the question is, do you not write anything down anymore? Because especially if it's controversial, it's going to come back to haunt you. I think the intent by the captain was proper, that he was concerned about his crew. The issue is, in order to save face, in order to present a positive national front that we are going to beat this and that it is all going to be okay, personally, giving my opinion, I believe that the Department of Justice and the acting Secretary of the Navy overreacted. And I think it was a huge mistake, and I think it was a huge morale mistake nationally, and it really should not have happened, regardless of what you brought up in terms of the security and privacy of the government and procedure. Anyway, we'll get off the subject because I don't want to put you on the spot on that. I think you explained it fine. Let's go to the
what I could say, Bruce, is that, having been an executive and a manager for a long time, I found that personnel matters seem to be screwed up 90% of the time.
Well, that's a very good response. Unfortunately true. But on this scale, given what we're going through and given the seriousness of how people are scared and worried about this, I don't know. I think it was a major blunder, and hopefully something good will come of it. But
exactly, and I'm not arguing with you at all. I'm
I understand. Let's move on to the idea that in order to make this really go away, our science has got to step up big time. We have to find a vaccine for this, and we have to find it fast. And the scientific community is saying that there is no way we're going to solve this and create a vaccine in a year or 2 years. It takes longer than that. What do you think is going to happen? And what about the suggestion that these drug trials with hydrochloroquine might be doing something? Here in California, are our doctors, is the legislator dealing with this in any way, shape, or fashion in terms of how the FDA intersects with these experimental treatments and medicines?
Yeah, and again, FDA is a federal department, and so at the state level, there's not much I can do as an elected state senator. Where I've been focused is trying to connect people with the state or with local hospitals to see what we can do. I'm getting so many emails and phone calls for people that can maybe contribute KN95 masks. We had one manufacturer, a local boy, who actually had a great football career at Newport Harbor High and then on to UCLA, and you probably know his last name, Trevor Therio, and he's now CEO of a company that he came and called me and said, I'd like to give 5,000 face masks. What should we do? And we met with Robert Braithwaite, the CEO of Hoag, and had a nice little presentation with social distance appropriate. And so that was a real blessing to Hoag Memorial Hospital Presbyterian. I'm getting a lot of other PPE, personal protective equipment solicitations. The state just yesterday put up a website on how to get those if you want to donate or if you want to purchase that kind of equipment. That went up yesterday. The governor announced that, and the link is on my blog for my post for today if anyone needs that. But that's sort of the space that I've been focused on. What I can do where to help where I can at the state level and the county level.
Quick last question, John. Are the hospitals in Orange County overwhelmed like the media is claiming across the country? Are we really totally overwhelmed yet? I know it could get much worse, but where are we now?
Well, the governor has asked for 50,000 hospital beds. The California Hospital Association has found 30,000. The ship Mercy provided another 1,000, and the governor still needs 19,000 more. So they have requested the use of Fairview Developmental Center as for the surge that's coming up, and it should have 1,100 beds, 200 for developmentally disabled individuals, 900 for acute care. So if you are at Hoag and you're there for an emergency or something personal other than coronavirus, and you need to be moved because the hospital has too many COVID-19 patients, then you would probably be relocated to Fairview Hospital or maybe even the Mercy ship in San Pedro. So there's definitely an anticipation of some kind of surge that's going to come, and we're not seeing it maybe exponentially as we look at the data from Orange County, but when the algorithms kick in and the assumptions kick in, we're probably still looking at a pretty strong spike. So it might be a little too early. I haven't had complaints from the hospitals that they're full, but we obviously are all focused on trying to prepare for the need should it occur.
It sounds like we are, and that's a positive way to end our time together. Senator John Moorlach, thank you for your hour of time this Sunday night on Angels Radio. It's been a pleasure having you, talking to you. You sound like a voice of reason in a time of let's say, challenge. And we hope and pray that as we enter the fourth week of it, we're going to see a change coming in the month or so to come. So on that, again, thank you so much.
And thank you, Bruce, for your fine column for well over 20 years.
Well, you're very kind to mention it. Thank you. It's very kind of you also. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bruce Cook. It's been an hour of pleasure and information with Senator Moorlach. I say have a healthy week. Stay in, stay safe, wear the mask in public, do the best you can. Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.